Welcome back to Consider This. I'm Sharaad Kuttan. My guest tonight, Liew Chin Tong, a senator and also former Deputy Defense Minister under the Pakatan Harapan Administration. We were talking about your time, and I think that's very interesting because so much ink has been spilled about the maneuverings and the politics. It's really interesting to get your insider view in terms of governing, taking that power. Tell us more about the knowledge and experience that you gain. Where can all of you who've had that 22 months of experience take it?
Yeah, during my 22, oh, I didn't have 22 months. I was appointed in July, but together with Mas Sabu, our team work with academics, we work with the civil servant, we work with members of the armed forces. We developed the first ever defense white paper for the country, and I hope my ministerial colleagues, friends, people who want to support us, continue to encourage ex-ministers, assistant advisors to the ministers not to give up. It's important that, well, this is the first change of government in our history in 2018. And for the first time now, you have the opposition having so much knowledge about governing. It's important that that knowledge doesn't go away. We should start developing revolving doors of policy think tanks, like those in US, like those in Australia, so that ex-ministers, ex-policy advisors park themselves there to act as if they are government in exile, government in waiting, so that the policy debates will no longer be shouting at each other. I think we have a lot of shouting because previously the minister may not know what they are doing and the opposition may not know what is going on inside. But this is for the first time you have the opposition knowing so much about governing.
Right, and I wonder about this. It's not just parliamentarians that shout at each other, but also civil society activists that shout at parliamentarians and people in government. And one of the things that clearly marked the 22 months was an impatience with the Pakatan Harapan not delivering. Why wasn't reform done yesterday, as it were? What would you say to civil society about what lessons they can learn? Yeah,
I think some members of the civil societies, some academics have were robbed in to get involved in policy making. I think they learn a lot. But to the friends in civil society, I would say that it's important that we realize that the politicians can only do so much. If you think that the politicians in the government represent the entire government, the coup in February shows you that it's not. We basically have to come together to see how to chart the future of the nation and get involved in policy making. Otherwise, just hoping that the political master can change everything overnight won't work.
Okay, let's come back to the politics of the day, though. I mean, you've written about the Pakatan +GPS government led by the Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin. You think that this, especially his cabinet, represents the fragility of his hold on not just the question of legitimacy, but credibility, but also actually governing. Tell us more about your thoughts on the challenges for this current administration.
I think the current administration doesn't have political legitimacy. That is quite clear.
But it's constitutional. It's legal.
It's constitutional, but as pointed out by some scholars, it's constitutional but not moral. Okay, fine. The point is that the Malay middle ground and of course most other voters think that it's a political coup. So in any of the political coup that you see elsewhere, the government will have to overcompensate at least in other areas. For example, economic performance. So when Suharto came in, he came through a military coup and he had to overcompensate through economic performance. Now, this is a challenge for Tan Sri Muhyiddin. He came through the back door, but if he could perform well economically, the struggling M40, the B40s feels that he's doing good for them, then he can actually gain economic legitimacy.
Right. And do you think that's likely to happen in this particular?
I think he came in a very difficult time.
He's coming
because I mean, how to ensure that ordinary Malaysians, particularly Malay middle ground feels that their economic life is being taken care of, he will have to deal with the questions of jobs, pay, education, healthcare, public transportation, housing, help. I mean, these are the issues that he will have to deal with.
And these are things that you can't necessarily deliver in a single electoral cycle. I mean, so short-term.
He may have a shortcut.
Okay.
If he can.
Is this advice that you're giving free of charge to the Prime Minister?
Yeah, free of charge. I mean, he has a shortcut. That is to assure the nation. At some point, if the court sentence Najib to jail, the government will not appeal. The government will happily see Najib going to jail.
You think that plays an important part in terms of the domestic issues of credibility and legitimacy?
Yeah, because I think Tan Sri Muhyiddin can only come in and say that I am doing good for the nation. Otherwise, he has no legitimacy. Otherwise, he came in through the wrong way, and so the only way he could tell the nation is that I'm going to do better than the last government. In what sense? Economically, or in terms of anti-corruption? Yeah,
but that was the agenda of the previous government. It was the agenda championed by Tun Dr. Mahathir himself, right? The anti-corruption agenda. Now, the current Prime Minister's parliamentary base, his base of power, is in fact UMNO and PAS. And UMNO, I mean, sending UMNO leaders to jail or not pardoning them. Wouldn't that be difficult for him to
it's difficult. It's difficult, but that is a shortcut for him to be popular. Because the public is still desiring the same thing. The public desired better economic environment, better pay, better jobs, better healthcare, and the public also demand cleaner government. What the voters have voted in the last election did not change. And whatever you claim that this is a Malay government, but ultimately, every Malaysian, including the Malay middle ground, wants to see a cleaner government.
Okay, very quickly, what is Pakatan's role going to be in Parliament over the next 3 years if Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin is able to hold power for that long?
I think the Prime Minister and everyone else will have to start thinking of a new type of engagement. New type of engagement is that for the first time, they will have to face us in the opposition and challenging them. They may not have a huge buffer. The majority is razor thin. There are people who say that Tan Sri Muhyiddin may have about 114, 113, 115. It doesn't matter. Basically, as long as 5% decided from his camp, 5% decided that today is parliamentary day, today is budget day, but I'm sick, I'm checking myself into the hospital, he may lose his budget. So every parliamentary day is a confident vote. Every bill is a confident vote.
Okay, and we're going to take another short break. We'll come back to the vote of no confidence, was much talked about in the last couple of weeks. Stay tuned to consider this.